The world used to hum when she listened. Every word, every tremor in another's voice carried meaning. But lately, silence has begun to sound more honest. Dr. Evelyn Shaw sits behind her glass desk, watching the city fade into a blur of headlights. Her patients cry, confess, unravel, and she feels nothing. Not relief, not sorrow, just the sterile click of her pen. Detachment came like winter. First a chill, then the frost. She tells herself it's professionalism, a layer of emotional insulation. But beneath the calm, something darker stirs, a quiet thrill in being untouchable. The more she pulls away, the easier it is to breathe. Empathy had once been her compass. Now it feels like a weight. As she ends her final session of the day, Evelyn realizes she can't remember what her patient's voice sounded like. She exhales slowly. Freedom, she tells herself, always begins with forgetting how to care. Evelyn returns home to a silence that feels earned. Her apartment is immaculate, symmetrical, devoid of memory. She places her keys in a bowl with ritual precision, pours a glass of wine, and watches the rain crawl down her window. Somewhere in the city lives Unravel. She listens only to the hum of her refrigerator. There's peace here. Sterile, quiet, almost holy. But in that silence, a faint voice whispers that peace built on absence is just a prettier form of decay. At dawn, Evelyn stands before her bathroom mirror, toothbrush idle in hand, watching condensation form over her reflection. She traces a line through the fog, dividing her face in two. Somewhere behind her eyes, warmth used to live. Now there's only precision, routines that protect her from herself. She wonders when professionalism became a shield rather than a calling. The next morning's session unfolds like a play she's grown tired of performing. Words rise and fall, but Evelyn's mind drifts elsewhere. To the rhythm of her own breathing, to the pulse in her wrist. She realizes she's learning how to be invisible, even while being watched. That night, Evelyn dreams she's underwater, her body sinking slowly toward a silent ocean floor. The deeper she falls, the calmer she feels. When she wakes, she doesn't remember the faces of the people she saw that day, only the feeling of quiet, vast, heavy, and endlessly deep. Evelyn Shaw begins testing the limits of her detachment. She answers Marcus Vale with a clinical calm that borders on cruelty, noting how easily he shifts under her gaze. Her friend Lena Cruz texts repeatedly, unaware that Evelyn is retreating into herself, prioritizing precision over compassion. She marvels at the efficiency of numbness. No pleading, no frustration, just a measured reaction to stimuli. Every interaction becomes an experiment, a careful probe into how much she can disengage before the world stops mattering, and whether her own sense of control feels worth the cost. She begins to withhold little things, small gestures of empathy that once felt necessary. Marcus notices, hesitates, then continues speaking, unsure whether he's being heard or simply observed. Evelyn logs every reaction silently, her thoughts clinical. Does caring alter outcomes or merely prolong suffering? She smiles faintly to herself, realizing the freedom of choice lies not in others, but in the ability to ignore them completely. At home, Evelyn reviews transcripts of her sessions. Lena Cruz calls, worried, sensing a shift in Evelyn's tone even over text. Evelyn responds briefly, meticulously, careful not to reveal the thrill she feels in detachment. She writes notes about human reactions as if they are chemical reactions, fascinated by the clarity that comes from caring less, observing more. The world feels oddly simple, predictable, and achingly cold. Evelyn experiments further, refusing to comfort a distressed Marcus, observing the discomfort she generates. She marvels at the precision of indifference, how it sharpens her mind. Each interaction is no longer a duty but a test. How far can she go before ethical boundaries and human connection crumble? A thrill flares in her chest, subtle but undeniable. Detachment is intoxicating. By evening, Evelyn reviews her day in the dim glow of her apartment. Lena Cruz texts again, "Are you okay?" Evelyn stares at the screen for a long moment before replying with a single word. "Fine." She pours wine into a glass, sits alone, and marvels at the serenity of emotional distance. Detachment feels like power, like standing above chaos without being touched. Yet a quiet, almost imperceptible unease lurks beneath the surface, a whisper of what she's sacrificing for this icy peace. Evelyn Shaw begins to notice the power that detachment grants her. Marcus Vale leans into her guidance, unaware that her calm precision is not care, but calculation. Each measured word she speaks bends him subtly, revealing vulnerabilities she once would have soothed. Even Lena Cruz, whom Evelyn meets for coffee, feels the chill of her growing indifference. The thrill is small at first, a ripple through her chest, but it grows. The more she withdraws from feeling, the more control she wields. It is intoxicating and terrifying in equal measure. The quiet knowledge that influence need not be earned, only observed and applied. Evelyn experiments with subtle manipulation, planting suggestions in Marcus's mind while maintaining the appearance of care. She watches him adopt her words, hesitate, then act. Lena Cruz texts warnings. "Be careful, Eve." Evelyn chuckles faintly, realizing she no longer seeks approval, comfort, or connection. Only the clarity of control. Her moral compass has shifted. The line between protection and exploitation blurs. She feels alive in a way that caring never permitted. She begins to measure everything: reactions, compliance, hesitation. Evelyn Shaw notes the thrill of influence. The control is quiet, imperceptible, and absolute. Marcus Vale confesses worries, unaware they are being weaponized. Every word, every gesture becomes data. Evelyn's pulse is steady, her breathing controlled, her heart untouched by empathy, but her mind alight with the realization: power is not always loud. Sometimes it's the serenity of indifference. Evelyn meets Lena Cruz at a quiet cafe. Lena notices the change immediately. The warmth is gone from Evelyn's smile. Evelyn sips her coffee, voice measured, answers Lena's questions with precision, as though life itself were a problem to solve rather than a connection to nurture. Lena frowns, sensing the cold that now separates them. Evelyn marvels at how effortless detachment has become, and how intoxicating it feels to exist above the sway of emotion, watching others flounder below. Back in her apartment, Evelyn Shaw reviews the day's interactions. Marcus Vale has followed her subtle cues flawlessly. Lena Cruz remains worried, unaware of the magnitude of what Evelyn has discovered. Alone in her minimalist space, Evelyn feels a quiet surge of triumph, the intoxicating proof that detachment is power. Yet a whisper lingers in her mind, a shadow at the edges of serenity. Mastery comes with a cost. She can feel it, even if she cannot yet name it. More Adam Sor or Show Kamei. The first fracture comes quietly. Lena Cruz confronts Evelyn Shaw. In the glow of her apartment lights, words trembling between anger and fear. "You're losing yourself, Eve." Evelyn, calm, seated on the edge of her sofa, in a navy sweater and black trousers, listens without flinching, eyes steady, expression unreadable. Marcus Vale lingers in the background of her mind, a reminder of the control she wields. Yet Lena's concern pierces through her carefully constructed armor, a quiet echo of the empathy she once carried. For the first time, she notices the hollow space in herself where compassion used to live. Evelyn's detachment is tested when a patient's crisis breaks through her practiced calm. Marcus Vale, in her office, confesses suicidal thoughts, voice shaking. Evelyn pauses, noting the precision of her reaction. She does not panic, does not offer solace. She feels the rush of absolute control and the simultaneous weight of ethical blindness. Lena's words echo in her mind. The mirror of her humanity is cracking. For the first time, she wonders if the cost of power is too high, and whether the cold serenity she craves could be lethal. Evelyn retreats into her apartment afterward, feeling the edges of her control fray. She sips wine, staring at the city lights, knowing Lena Cruz will never stop worrying. She tries to justify her detachment. It is protection, efficiency, freedom. But Marcus Vale and the faint echo of human suffering cling in her mind. The fractures in her mirror grow clearer. And for the first time, Evelyn senses that detachment might not be armor, but a cage. Later that evening, Evelyn checks on Marcus Vale via a video call. His face is pale, voice weak. She observes with clinical precision, noting the subtle tremors in his fingers and the hesitation in his eyes. Her heart does not race, but an unfamiliar discomfort creeps into her mind. Lena Cruz texts again. "You're pushing too far." Evelyn reads it, feeling the pull of moral awareness she had so long suppressed. The mirror is no longer whole. It reflects a version of herself she scarcely recognizes. Evelyn, 37, finally alone in her apartment, closes the laptop and exhales slowly. The thrill of detachment battles the creeping unease. Lena Cruz, Marcus Vale, all reflections of lives she touches without truly feeling. She pours herself another glass of wine and stares at her own reflection in the window, realizing the cost of serenity. A mirror fractured by the pieces of empathy she abandoned. The calm is intoxicating, but the fracture reminds her that no experiment is without consequence. Evelyn Shaw stands at the apex of her experiment. Detachment has become mastery. Marcus Vale follows her guidance without hesitation. Lena Cruz worries from a distance, powerless to intervene. Evelyn feels a serenity she has never known, a cold perfection in knowing that her influence shapes outcomes without the mess of feeling. She walks through the city at night, observing strangers, noting their reactions, smiling faintly at her own quiet omnipotence. Yet beneath the calm, an emptiness begins to seep in, a whisper that power without care is not triumph, but hollow victory. At home, Evelyn reviews session transcripts. Each interaction with Marcus Vale is a victory of precision, yet no warmth colors the triumph. Lena Cruz calls once more, her voice tinged with fear. Evelyn answers politely with calm detachment, savoring the purity of control. She begins to wonder if this serenity is a reward or a prison. The thrill of influence competes with a creeping hollowness, but she suppresses it, unwilling to let uncertainty tarnish her perfect composure. She walks the streets alone, Evelyn, observing life unfolding. Couples argue. Children laugh. Strangers pass with hurried steps. Marcus Vale has called, his voice steady but subdued, reflecting her influence. Lena Cruz texts again. "You're too far gone." Evelyn feels a flicker, a whisper of what it is to care. But it is quickly smothered by the intoxicating calm. Power feels perfect. Emptiness is ignored. She wonders fleetingly if the cost of mastery is more than she is willing to face. In the quiet of her apartment, Evelyn pours a glass of wine and stares at the city lights. She feels the apex of detachment. Unshakable, precise, absolute. Marcus Vale is a compliant shadow of her own making. Lena Cruz, a distant echo of concern. Yet, in the stillness, a subtle unease coils within her chest. The hollow triumph is undeniable. She has achieved serenity, yes, but at the cost of warmth, empathy, and human connection. The silence is intoxicating and suffocating in equal measure. Evelyn closes her laptop and stands alone, listening to the hum of the city below. The thrill of detachment pulses faintly in her chest, a sharp contrast to the hollowness she feels. Marcus Vale is compliant, distant, shaped by her control. Lena Cruz remains unaware of the full depth of Evelyn's transformation. The apex of mastery has been reached, but Evelyn wonders if mastery without feeling is truly victory. The room is silent. The mirror reflects a woman who is powerful, yet achingly hollow. Evelyn Shaw wakes to a strange warmth she hasn't felt in years. A memory flares. Marcus Vale, laughing unguarded. Lena Cruz, smiling with effortless sincerity. Fragments she had buried beneath detachment. Her apartment feels different, the shadows softer. The city below humming not as a spectacle to observe, but as a world she is part of. For the first time in months, she feels unease and longing intertwined, an emotion she cannot categorize or control. Detachment, once intoxicating, now feels like a chain she longs to break. A video call with Marcus Vale brings an unexpected surge of empathy. His voice cracks. His vulnerability pierces the shield Evelyn Shaw has perfected. She notices tremors in her chest she cannot suppress. Lena Cruz had been right all along. Ignoring humanity may grant control, but it cannot erase consequence. Evelyn feels herself teetering between the seductive calm of detachment and the raw pull of emotion, an internal tug-of-war she cannot navigate without risk. Evelyn walks the streets of the city at dusk, neon reflecting in puddles, life bustling around her. She feels Marcus Vale and Lena Cruz in her consciousness. The weight of human connection she had ignored returns in waves. Every face she passes seems to echo forgotten empathy. The thrill of detachment has faded, replaced by a craving for feeling. Joy, sorrow, fear, and love. Messy, unpredictable, and real. The calm she once prized now feels like a pale imitation of life itself. Back in her apartment, Evelyn Shaw revisits old therapy notes and realizes the emotional detachment she perfected has consequences that linger like ghosts. Marcus Vale has been shaped by her control. Lena Cruz continues to reach for her, unconcerned with the distance Evelyn created. A tremor of guilt enters her chest. She sits quietly, trying to feel every sensation she has suppressed, tasting fear, relief, and hope all at once. The mirror of detachment cracks further, revealing a woman capable of emotion, but uncertain how to wield it again. Evelyn finally confronts the cost of detachment. Marcus Vale has suffered quietly under her guidance. Lena Cruz continues to care, stubbornly present despite her absence. Evelyn feels the rush of humanity return. Not gentle, not forgiving, but urgent and raw. She realizes that serenity without empathy is a hollow illusion. The experiment ends, but the consequences remain, and the world, vibrant, chaotic. Must she choose how to exist within it? Evelyn Shaw stares at her reflection in the apartment window, the city lights fracturing across the glass like shards of memory. She feels Marcus Vale and Lena Cruz lingering in her consciousness, reminders of lives touched, love shaped, and consequences she cannot erase. Detachment has given her control, but at the cost of warmth, empathy, and moral certainty. She wonders whether reclaiming humanity will bring joy or pain, whether feeling again is a gift or a burden. The choice looms: remain untouchable or face the full spectrum of life, messy and unpredictable. She recalls the first day of detachment, the thrill of power over Marcus Vale, the quiet satisfaction in Lena Cruz's messages she barely acknowledged. Now, that calm feels empty, sterile. Evelyn Shaw senses the hollowness of victories won without care. The faces she once shaped now haunt her, not with blame, but with truth. She inhales sharply, realizing that peace built on indifference is an illusion. True serenity demands vulnerability, the willingness to feel and risk, to care and endure. A call from Marcus Vale breaks the silence. His voice is tentative, revealing struggles she had dismissed. Evelyn Shaw listens, feeling the tug of responsibility and the unfamiliar ache of empathy. Lena Cruz had been right. Human connection cannot be ignored without consequence. She knows she must decide: continue the sterile mastery she once craved, or step back into vulnerability and risk the uncertain, alive, and fully human path. Evelyn Shaw stands on the balcony, the wind tugging at her hair, city lights stretching endlessly before her. She can feel detachment whispering its seductive calm, promising safety, control, serenity. But beneath it lies emptiness, hollow victories, and the memory of faces she cannot forget. Marcus Vale, shaped by her influence, and Lena Cruz, unwavering in care. She inhales deeply, choosing sensation over sterility, emotion over numbness. The price of peace is steep. It demands risk, pain, and courage. Yet she steps forward anyway, into life fully felt. Evelyn Shaw gazes at her reflection one last time, face calm but alive with quiet intensity. Detachment is gone. Power remains, but now tempered by empathy and awareness. Marcus Vale is free to exist without being molded by her hands. Lena Cruz smiles through her messages, unshaken in faith that connection endures. Evelyn inhales, savoring the blend of fear, hope, and exhilaration. The mirror is whole again. Imperfect and human, she has learned the price of peace. It is not absence, but presence, with all its beauty and pain.